Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Spann Report podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann, and this is episode number 66 of the report. And yeah, man, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since the last time I talked to y'all. It's been about 2 weeks. Been about 2 weeks since the last time I did a show. The last show I did was the Art of Disagreement with the homie Mr. Gates, and I appreciate him coming on again, man. That was a very lively discussion, a very good debate, and quite a few people got they got a few good things up out of that, man. And we do plan on bringing those to you probably like on a monthly basis. The Art of Disagreement volumes will increase as we find shit to argue about on the show for you guys to listen to and enjoy. But of course, before I get started with everything as far as the show is concerned, let me let you guys know how to get in touch with me here at the Spann Report podcast and let your voice be heard. You can hit me up at the Spann Report hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave me those voicemail messages. I will play those messages on the show, and of course, I will respond to those on the show as well. You can also send me an email. My email address for the Spann Report is feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Send me those emails. I will read those emails and, of course, reply to those emails here on the show as well. Also, if you want to chop it up with your boy, man, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms, of course, is Mr. Spann. That's MR_Spann. So check me out, chop it up with me there. And, of course, for all of your Spann Report needs, you can go to the SpannReport.com, man. All of the Spann Report episodes, all of the videos, all of the guest appearances that I've made, go to the SpannReport.com and get your Spann Report podcast fix there. As a matter of fact, your boy Spann been kind of making this arena this week. I was a guest on a 20-minute show with the homie Rashani, host of 20 Minutes and Single Sin and Solace and the Single Simulcast. So go check that episode out. It is available now. And also, I was a guest on Where's My 40 Acres with the crew. I'm going to say Rod and Karen. Nah, my bad, Brandon. With the homie Phenom Black, Miss Music Lover Twan, and all of those people over there, man. Really good discussion. We was on there for about 3 hours, man. Nice little discussion we had over there. So definitely check out Where's My 40 Acres. Your boy Spann was over there as well. And yeah, it's been a few things, man, that's been going on in the world and in the news and everything else. But I want to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about some things that have been going on with your boy. Right. Me and Mr. Gates, we were having a discussion about the respectability politics and everything else. And Mr. Gates alluded to an incident that had been had, right? So I'm at work. And my girl calls me and she's like, she asked me, had I been out on my balcony over here? Had I been outside on the balcony for any reason at all? Not. It's been cold. It had been cold here. It shit ton of snow. I had no reason to be out there, but there were footprints on my balcony that I didn't put there, right? So I'm like, no, I hadn't. But it, kind of made my antenna go up a little bit. So I called building maintenance and building management and I asked them, had they been doing any work on the balconies? Was there any kind of maintenance thing going on with that? And they said no. The only people that had been out here was the electric company, and they would have no business being on my balcony, right? So I'm like, okay. So then I get home, and then I notice that there were not only footprints on my balcony, but there were also footprints walking up towards my bedroom window, right? And I'm on high alert. I'm looking at this whole situation. It seems as if somebody may be casing the joint. Somebody may be trying to figure out what it is they may be able to look in here and get. Somebody may be watching my movements. You never can tell. I go to work, she goes to work. Whether or not they're trying to figure out what our schedules are, you never know. You never know what's going on. And it was one of those things to where I'm just like, you know what? This motherfucker better not bring his ass back around here. It was one of those kind of things. Like I have zero tolerance for this kind of shit. Zero. I'm not even, again, when it comes to my home, when it comes to my safety, when it comes to those around me, I'm not playing any games. If anybody made the mistake of stepping foot across the threshold of my home when there is no invitation and I don't know you, I feel sorry for the consequences in which you will find yourself in stepping foot in my home when you're not invited or I don't know you or whatever. So it was one of those things, man. I was like on high alert, man. I went to like Menards to go get like security bars and shit like that to put in my windows and stuff like that. Just real crazy shit. And I'm still kind of leery about even getting the maintenance people to come in here to do work. Like, is this motherfucker case in the joint kind of shit? Like, it really put me in a different state of mind where like before I was kind of relaxed because I do live in the suburbs now and I don't necessarily, I'm not necessarily looking for these kind of things to happen, but at the same time, you know what? It just kind of got me out of that sense of security, so to speak, to where now I'm on high alert damn near all the time now, and it was one of those things. It was actually one of the things I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about anyway, was because there was a story that came out here in Michigan about more and more women are getting their license to carry concealed firearms, right? And of course, you guys know I am a proponent of concealed carry. I would implore anyone who feels as if they're able to take on that responsibility to do it. My girl has also gotten her concealed carry license, and a lot of folks be like, "Man, that's because you made her do it." It's like, no, I didn't make her do it, but it got to a point where, and this is where this is how I feel about it. And I've said this plenty of times before, that I feel as if your responsibility is your safety is your own responsibility, right? And calling the police is, it can be helpful, but at the same time, you will be waiting for the police to get there to do whatever it is that they're going to do, right? So in the meantime, what are you to do, right? If you are able to get to your firearm or your knife or whatever to protect yourself, then by all means, you should arm yourself in a way. You should put yourself in a position to do so. You should be able to kind of protect yourself in any way possible. Now, I'm not one of those people that think that just because you carry a gun that you're going to be safe. I'm not any of those people that think that just because you have a gun, you're going to magically become like Rambo or anything like that, that you're going to just be able to knock folks off or pick people off with your gun, and nothing like that at all. But if you have at any point in time an opportunity to protect yourself, you have a responsibility to do that for yourself, right? So it gets to a point where sometimes, if my girl is out, like say for instance, if she's at work and it's late or whatever, I'm not around, a phone call to me, even though I'm on my way, what is she going to do in the meantime? What is she going to do in the meantime when she's waiting on the police to show up, or she's waiting on an ambulance to show up, or anything? Like what can she do in the meantime? And I think that for her and for me, because I feel a lot better knowing that, even in my absence, that she should be, she could be able to do something to mitigate any situation where she can protect herself. And so this whole thing with somebody creeping around my crib made me feel even better about the fact that she decided to go ahead and get the licensing to get her own gun and to get her license to carry that gun concealed. Man, I was proud of her, because it was one of those things, man, like she wasn't really into that, but she felt that was one of the things that she needed to do to protect herself. And I couldn't be prouder. And I understand it is not something that everybody subscribes to. I understand that, not everybody feels as if they can take on that responsibility, but I felt good knowing that she felt that it was something that she could do, and she went about the means to go about doing it the right way. So yeah, man, outside of that, we cool. But I do know whoever the fuck that was that might have been creeping around my place, he better not bring his ass over here again. I just know that, right? I just know that. Also, man, outside of that, man, we did have some good times. So we did have some good times, sir. I think it was like a couple weeks ago now. It might have been like right after I did that. As a matter of fact, it was right after we did the Art of Disagreement. We went to the Charlie Wilson concert here in Detroit. A lot of people got their cars broken into downtown Detroit. Luckily, I wasn't one of them, right? But yeah, a lot of people got their cars broken into. It was like 12 cars around the arena that had gotten their cars broken into. A few people got their cars stolen downtown, and they really got to do something about the police presence in and around those kind of events. And not only that, the parking garages too. There's a lot of parking garages that were closed around the Joe Louis Arena for whatever reason. I figured like they would be open because there's money to be made when there's a big concert going on. But outside of that, man, it was a really good show. We got there late looking for parking. So it was at Joe opened the show. We got there like maybe a half hour into his set. And then it was Kim and Charlie Wilson. And you know what? It was funny because we left about 11 o'clock. It was getting late. Charlie Wilson had been on almost like an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours. And we left thinking like he was getting ready to close the show because he started singing all these gospel songs, right? So we like, okay, yeah, he's about to wrap it up and giving thanks to God and everything else. Yeah, that's usually when everybody started wrapping their shit up. So we leave, right? I get to work the next day because I went with one of my friends and him and his wife. I get to work the next day and my boy was like, yo, man, why y'all leave so early, man? I'm like, what are you talking about, man? This is 11 o'clock. You know, he started singing the gospel songs, man. We got to be here at work the next day. Like, what are you talking about? He like, man, shit, Charlie went on for another 2 hours, man. You ain't he like, y'all missed like a whole another 2 hour show, man. I knew he was going to keep going because I had seen him at the Cincinnati Jazz Fest and all this other stuff. I'm like, well, that's cool and all. I don't know if I really could have stayed for 2 more hours at the Charlie Wilson show. I like Charlie Wilson. Charlie Wilson is cool, but I wasn't about to stay for no 4-hour gig of Charlie Wilson. If he had really stayed on for another 2 hours, man, that just wasn't going to be something that your man Spann was going to do. Good show, though. Really good show, man. Kim did a really good job. Joe did a really good job. And so did the OG Charlie Wilson, man. But let's see. What else is going on, man? What else is going on? And I'm having a brain fart. Don't you really hate when you're on live and you're having a brain fart and you can't really think about what it was that you wanted to say? I had another. There it was. There it was. See, all I had to do was refer to my notes. Check this out, y'all. I don't know how familiar a lot of my listeners are with Detroit, right? There's this Detroit landmark. There was this Detroit landmark called Watts Club Mozambique. I'm not sure how familiar any of you guys would be with Watts Club Mozambique. I remember it was referred to in like one of those movies with it was like one of those old 90s black movies, you know, where it was like they had the same black people acting in all these movies or whatever else. But it was like this black strip club on the west side of Detroit. And for whatever reason, Watts Mozambique burned down to the ground, right? And so the thing that make this is funny though is like I remember a time growing up here in Detroit where Watts Club used to actually have commercials on television. They actually advertised the dancers on television, and I I thought it would be funny to commemorate this moment of Detroit ratchetness to play one of these commercials for you guys. But here you go for just a second.
Ladies, you know when it comes to the best in exotic dancing, Watch Club Mozambique 8406 Finkel is the place for you. Ladies, Watch Club Mozambique male dancers are there just for you and you only. At Watch Club Mozambique, you'll see capital punishment, another level, sudden impact, strictly ghetto, juicy, Hawk, Joyride, Absolute, Rock Hard, Midnight Lover, Royal Luscious, and Social Lovers. It all happens every Wednesday through Sunday at Watts Club Mozambique, 8406 Finkel. Exotic male dancing at its best every Wednesday through Sunday at Watts Club Mozambique.
All right, man. Yeah, you know, it's funny because I know so many ladies on the west side of Detroit are so disappointed right now with Watts Club going up in flames. But I did get in touch with a few guys, man, that used to you know, want to dance there, and a couple guys that did dance there right before that motherfucker blew up, right? So I talked with the homie on about this. You might want to check him out there. And then it was another guy up there said his name was insurance jobs. I'm sorry. I had to get those in, but I had to get those in insurance job because that's what I believe that Watts Club thing was, man. Somebody getting paid off that whole Watts Club thing going up in smoke. And yeah, it was funny, man. It was one of those things, man, with Watts Club where again, it's like going back in time with Detroit Ratchetness. Man, they played all of those commercials on TV. I'm gonna have some of the videos on the SpannReport.com. You can check out that episode. Was on channel 62, man. Real talk. But yeah, man, there was a whole lot of little stuff going on. A lot of little stuff going on. But outside of that, though, I got some other stuff. I got some shit in the news I want to talk to you guys about. All right. So I know you guys have heard that the Gaye family, Marvin Gaye's descendants, or not, well, his heirs, have sued Pharrell Williams and Robin Thicke for the Blurred Line song. And you know, basically claiming that it was a copy of "Gotta Give It Up" by Marvin Gaye, and the jury in that trial awarded the Gaye family a little bit over $7 million for infringement on their father's song, right? And it was interesting to me to see how many people were talking about whether or not the Gaye family deserved that money, right? A lot of people, it was a lot of backlash against the Gaye family for whether or not they deserved that money. And what was funny to me, like, was the refrain that most of the people used in explaining why they didn't think that the Gaye family deserved that money. And most of it was didn't believe that those kids didn't deserve it because they didn't work for it, right? They didn't deserve that money. They didn't work for that money. They get awarded seven. People will make it in my family even bother to sue for that song, right? Now, what's interesting to me is that before the Gaye family even considered this lawsuit or whatever, was the fact that Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams actually tried to preempt them in suing for this song, right? I remember there were motions put in place by I think Robin Thicke and T.I. and Pharrell Williams to actually say that, to try to put in motions to prevent the Gaye family from suing them for this song before anything had even gotten put in motion, right? So it's like, okay, instead of, to me anyway, instead of trying to sue the family to keep them from suing you, how about you just go about the business of using this melody or this song, or go about obtaining the usage of this in the correct way, right? So you go about asking for the licensing and the royalties and the permission to use samples or whatever else that it was that you use in order to make this song, right? You go to the Gaye family beforehand and say, listen, this is what we want to do. We want to use this song, or we want to use elements of this song for this new record that we're coming out with. People do this all the time, and they pay the royalties associated with doing that, right? So the fact that Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams thought that they could just say fuck it and just use it anyway without paying the Gaye family anything, yeah, man, it was kind of crazy to me. And it was funny to me how many people forgot the fact that Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams had actually went about the motions of trying to prevent the Gaye family from suing them in the first place before the Gaye family had done anything, right? Secondly, I'll just put it out there. I come from a family where my grandfather made music, right? My grandfather made music in the 70s. My grandfather made good selling music in the 70s. My grandfather, humble brag, was the first person to ever go platinum. With the first platinum singer ever sold was by my granddaddy, right? And so even though I'm not a part of the estate or anything like that, if my grandfather or any elements of my grandfather's music have been used to inspire another song or into or flat out like been sampled or anything like that, if an artist wanted to use his likeness or his sound or whatever, or just I want to be specific here when it comes to sampling or the melodies or whatever. If an artist wanted to use my grandfather's music or my grandfather's work, then they should pay my grandfather's estate for his work. Just because my grandfather or Marvin Gaye is dead doesn't negate the fact that this is still his work and that his estate is entitled to compensation. So if you believe that Robin should be able to use this or Pharrell should be able to use this, Marvin Gaye is dead, then you got the whole game fucked up, because his estate is essentially for his descendants. That's what the estate is for. He left something behind. Live children, worked for it or not, it's still theirs because that's what their father left for them. So it was real interesting to me to see so many people talk about whether or not the Gaye family worked for this and everything else. It's like, no, their father worked for this, and his estate is entitled to compensation for the usage of his. I mean, that was pretty cut and dry to me. Now, there could be some debate as to whether or not people agree as to what elements of the song, or what was really was it really a sample? Was it really, did they really use elements of Gotta Give It Up and everything else? But the biggest thing that sticks out to me is the fact that Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams tried to sue beforehand to keep the Gaye family from suing to begin with, which lets me know, or at least puts the theory in my mind, that they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew that they were doing some pretty rip-offy kind of shit. They knew they were taking something that they didn't actually create to benefit themselves without paying true homage or without paying for the right to do it. If we didn't have patent copyrights, then everybody would be just saying, like, what deal would, let me calm down. Why would we even need copyrights and patents if people could just use our shit willy-nilly without paying to use that? And that's pretty much where I'm at with it. Yeah, so it was just funny to me to see how so many people were talking about how the Gaye family didn't deserve that. Even some people within my own family, I thought that was kind of strange, because I even presented that question to them, like, you know what, if somebody tried to use Granddaddy's music to, to make millions on their own using his shit, don't you think that his estate should benefit from the fact that these people are using his work, whether or not Granddaddy's dead or not, whether or not Marvin Gaye's dead or not? Somebody should be, they should be paying what they owe to his estate for using his work. So yeah, that was something interesting, man. Another thing too, and I think this is pretty much what this episode is really going to be about. This is what this is going to be about. We're going to dive into this. SAE, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, the fraternity at the Oklahoma University, got caught saying some real foul shit. And here is the real foul shit that they said. Or at least I thought I had that clip. I don't have that clip. Oh well. Everybody's seen the video. Everybody's seen that video already of the University of Oklahoma, or Oklahoma University Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity using or saying that a nigger will never join SAE, he'll never sign with me, yada yada yada. Some real fucked up shit, right? And the thing that kind of one of the first things that came to my mind was the fact that when this story broke, that was the first time I had ever heard of Sigma Alpha Epsilon. That was the first time I had ever even heard of this fraternity. I had never heard of them before this happened. This whole incident happened. Secondly, I don't know many black people who were like really chomping at the bit to join Sigma Alpha Epsilon. I just didn't. I didn't know anybody who was really like trying to, what, when I grow up, I want to be in Sigma Alpha Epsilon. And I don't know. I mean, not saying that it's just limited to my limited sphere of friends or influence or whatever, but I just simply, I had never heard of the fraternity, never known anybody who really wanted to join the fraternity. When I growing up around where I was, guys grew up talking about they wanted to be Qs. I had a friend of mine who we were on a college tour. He talked about He told these girls he was a Q and almost got his ass whooped for telling these girls he was a Q. We were at Tuskegee University, and some real Qs rolled up on him and told him he need to chill that shit out, right? And I was so happy for that dude when he finally became a Q, because that was something that he wanted to be all his life, damn near, right? I know guys who wanted to be Kappas. My roommate in college, he was sitting in a damn dorm room twirling a cane. He was pissed off that Tennessee State University didn't have Kappas on campus. He probably have to go to Fisk in order to pledge and all this other shit. Like guys who wanted to join historically black organizations, deltas, AKAs, Sigma Gamma Rhos, Kappas, Alphas, you name it, right? So I had never heard of Sigma, Alpha, Epsilon. Never heard of anybody who really wanted to join Sigma, Alpha, Epsilon. So it was real funny to me to see this video of them talking about, well, there will never be a nigger SAE. Is like, I don't know many people who really fucking want to be, but you know, okay, cool, right? And then you have this element of, you know, folks who were talking about how these are just spoiled college kids, and you know, this is an isolated incident, and this is, you know, just some harmless fun that these guys are having on a bus. They were drunk and all these other things, and it's like, okay, you could say that, you could try to minimalize that as much as you'd like, but at the same time, I'm thinking about the fact that when folks join fraternities, a lot of times they join fraternities with the idea of, you know, there being some opportunities for advancement, right? Opportunities for advancement, some networking, being able to reach out to somebody who's in a position of influence and have them help you in some sort of way, right? I mean, that's where a lot of folks join fraternal and sororities, fraternal organizations for that purpose. You know, of course, there's the brotherhood aspect of it, and you know that goes hand in hand. But at the same time, a lot of folks are looking for, yo, man, I need a hookup. I need somebody that I can depend on to help me get along my life, right? So when you think about the fact that, you know, we've had presidents, we've had congressmen, we've had executives, we've had you know, people in high offices, man, in places of influence who were former members of SAE. And it's funny how like that thing is too, like with a lot of white people, I was a part of this fraternity in college. With a lot of black people, it's like, I am. You could be like 40 years removed from college, like, yo, I am a Kappa, I am an Alpha Phi Alpha, I am a Q or whatever, right? It's a little different. It's funny how that works out, but I'm getting sidetracked. The fact that there are members of this fraternity who will go on to places of influence after they graduate, and this isn't just so much about whether or not there will be a nigger in SAE, but there will never be a nigger employed by me. There will never be a nigger who lives in an apartment owned by me. There will never be a nigger who buys a home from me. These are opportunities that can be denied to people because there are folks with influence who have this level of thinking, right? Members of SAE grow up to be, you know, executives, and they grow up to be, you know, business owners and everything else. These are people who have some level of influence. You can go down the list of some of their more famous members. I mean, that information is readily available, but it's not limited to, this racism isn't limited to the fact that they're sitting on the bus and they're drunk and they're having this chant, you know. And it was funny. What's funny is when white folks get caught doing some racist shit, how a lot of mainstream media tries to make it out as if these are isolated incidents, or they'll deflect from what the topic is to try to make it out about something else, right? So when in talking about this whole story, you know, about these kids on this bus, and they're talking, there will never be a nigger SAE, he'll never sign with me, you can hang him from a tree and all this other shit, and they're bringing up all of these domestic terroristic themes that are very real for black folk. They're bringing all of this shit up, and you'll have television host try to bring it back to it being about hip hop. Yeah, that happened. Bringing it about, speaking about hip hop. Check this out.
I think it's worth noting in the Oklahoma University story, they have 2 students that have been expelled. They have this dorm mother who's been seen on video using racist language that was in a song that she was singing. And clearly the most horrifying sight on this video is these boys and some women chanting these racist slogans. Having said that, there's this rapper, Waka Flocka Flame, who has performed for these kids in the past on the campus. And he canceled his show at the University of Oklahoma after this video surfaced, saying that in the wake of the video, he's disgusted and disappointed. And I'm
you saw him on another network last night.
I saw him on another network.
I'm shocked and stunned and deeply saddened that they use that
And
word.
then they said, Waka Flocka Flame, thank you very much, good luck to you. And he was gone. And I'm like, I look at his lyrics, and I'm thinking, why wouldn't you ask this guy why you would go on that campus? And if you look at every single song, I guess you call it, he's written, it's a bunch of garbage, full of N-words, full of F-bombs. It's wrong. And he shouldn't be disgusted with them. He should be disgusted with himself. That's all I have to say.
You should book him and refer to him as Mr. Flame.
Waka Flocka Flame. Thank you very much. I was like,
it's unbelievable.
What happened?
We're also going to be talking.
Because popular culture becomes a cesspool. A lot of corporations profit off it, and then people are surprised that some drunk 19-year-old kids repeat what they've been hearing.
Exactly.
And
by the way, when he sings that or raps it.
Anybody that watches Empire knows that 70% of the audience is white.
Oh my Lord!
But the kids that are buying hip hop or gangster rap, as Mark wanted us to call it, Moriel wanted us to call it, it's a white audience, and they hear this over and over again. So do they hear this at home? Well, chances are good. No, they heard a lot of this from guys like this who are now acting shocked.
Willie wants to get in.
Well,
he's the expert. He's the expert on this panel.
I agree, and as I said last hour, I'd love to never hear that word again. Another song, white, black, or otherwise. But there is a distinction between a bunch of white kids chanting about hanging someone from a tree, using that word in a hateful way.
Certainly not defending
And this is a term that you hear in hip hop that African American guys sometimes, in certain contexts, call each other. I don't like it, but you hear it in songs. Jay-Z used to say it all the time. The most famous rappers in the world say it. Again, I'm not defending it, but there is a distinction between white kids on a bus talking about hanging someone and Waka Flocka singing.
Well, of course there is. But if Waka Flocka is going on CNN acting shocked and stunned and deeply sad when he uses the word every
talks about murdering people, shooting people, F-bombing.
Not exactly.
Women, very nice treatment of women.
Abusing women.
Tipper Gore, of course, tried to raise this issue. It was widely ridiculed when she was the wife of the vice president. I remember defending.
All right. That was Mika Brzezinski, Joe Scarborough, Bill Crystal. I think his name is Willie Geist. They were all sitting around. They were discussing this incident on Morning Joe on MSNBC, right? I know a lot of folks that give MSNBC MSNBC is the left-leaning version of Fox. And this Morning Joe show, because Joe Scarborough used to be a Republican congressman from Florida, it kind of gives the air of, well, we got guys from all over, all sides are represented here at MSNBC, right? So I want to unpack this a little bit. Only because it was so much going on, or so much hypocrisy in what was going on in that conversation, right? They brought up Waka Flocka Flame in this discussion because Waka Flocka decided he didn't want to perform for this fraternity because of this chant becoming public knowledge, right? And it's almost as if they made a mockery of the fact that Waka Flocka had the audacity. How dare he be offended, right? How dare he be offended? When you look at his songs and you look at what he's talking about, excuse me, it's full of F-bombs, and he says nigger all the time, and he's talking about killing women, and he's talking about abusing women and how he's going to murder somebody and all of these other things, right? And it's as if they're being intellectually dishonest to know that what Waka Flocka is talking about is entertainment and completely different from what the fuck it is that these guys from SAE were talking about, right? You can't blame Waka Flocka for that SAE chant. There's just no fucking way in hell you could do it. That chant was something that came along long before there was ever such thing as a Waka Flocka Flame, right? Long before there was ever a Waka Flocka Flame. As a matter of fact, that chant is in no rap song at all. It isn't in any rap music. Not at all. So to even try to bring Waka Flocka up as if it's beyond the pale for this man to not feel comfortable performing for people who think that they can hang his ass from a fucking tree. They think that that's something that's cool to do. How dare he be mad that somebody talked about hanging him from a tree or hanging his people from a tree? How dare he be mad because he sings and he says nigger in his songs? And whether I like his music, because I don't even like Waka Flocka's music. I don't even listen to his shit. But I'm not about to sit here and act as if Waka Flocka, for whatever reason, has no right at all to be fucking mad that somebody who would invite him to perform for them feels like he's a fucking he's somebody who deserves to be hung from a tree, who couldn't be a part of what it is that they got going on there. They'll have him come perform, but no, you can never be a part of this. Fuck you. Fuck you. How about that? How about that? You know what I'm saying? So you have that element, right? And, you know, they talked about Empire, you know, like 70% of white people watch Empire. You know, Empire doesn't say nigger in the show at all. I've watched every last episode. Not once has nigger been uttered on that show. Not once, whether white people consume it or not. Not once has that word been uttered on that show. They've talked about it, but it hasn't been done yet. Hasn't been done yet. And even still, the context in which the word is being used is different in which that song comes from. So they're totally different things. This is an apples and oranges discussion right here. Right? And so you had, I think that was Willie Geist at the end, who kind of made the point of you can't compare the fact that these kids were on this bus, you know, singing this chant and compare it to rap music, even though it's in hip hop and all of these other things. The fact that they're even trying to make this about hip hop was what I find laughable, right? Because no matter how much they consume hip hop, that isn't the attitude that you're getting from hip hop. That isn't the attitude, even in gangster rap, even in some of the hardest shit. That isn't the attitude, and that isn't the context in which the word is being used. So we could talk about, you know, whether or not white people should be able to use it. Hey man, if you're gonna recite the song, recite the song. I don't give a fuck. Right? I use the word. A lot of times folks aren't necessarily happy with me. A lot of people just tell me, like, even in my Facebook interactions with people, I use the word liberally. I use it a lot. I use the word nigga a lot. I don't know a day where I ain't never said nigga 100 times. Probably before I was like cursing and shit. But yeah, there's not a day that goes by where I haven't said nigga 100 times. And I deal with the consequences behind that because, hell, I feel as if I'm not giving that word as much power as those who would like for me to stop using it are giving it. That word has virtually no power to me. It's just something that I just toss around. I don't give a fuck about the word. Right? So I use it. I deal with it. A lot of people tell me I'm a little bit more intelligent to be using it. It's like, hey, man, I use it when I feel like it. Sometimes it feels good to say nigga. Sometimes it feels good to say fuck. Sometimes it feels good to say shit. That's just me. And my baby is sitting right here, and I kind of wish she would go to the room because I'm being real foul right now. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like it's white folks can't stand to be told that they can't do some shit, right? They can't stand that. Like, how dare that these people tell me that I can't use this word? Well, it's the context and the history in which this word is being used that's keeping you from being able to use this word. That's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. So, you know, Mika Brzezinski tried to go on another show to clarify her comments, but nobody's really. I honestly, I'm not believing it. I don't care what it is she's trying to clarify. It's one of those things where they're trying to distract you from what it is actually what's actually going on, right? So I'm at work and I'm listening to Sports Talk Radio, 97.1 The Ticket here in Detroit. I'm listening to Mike Valeni on 97.1 The Ticket, and I'm listening to them bring up this Mixon kid who's a running back for Oklahoma University, who was I think he was suspended from school. He was suspended from the football team or whatever, but he wasn't expelled. And they were talking about how this kid, he had a domestic violence charge against him. He broke someone's jaw, allegedly. I don't know all of the details behind that case, so I'm not going to really speak too much on it. But they started going into the whole thing of, well, this kid broke somebody's jaw, and all these kids said was nigger, so why are these kids expelled and this kid isn't? As opposed to addressing the issue that is before us. These kids made a hostile environment on their school, whether people would like to acknowledge it or not. Where now you have black students on that campus who are worrying or who are thinking about, well, damn, if these are how these guys acted when they thought nobody was watching, when they didn't think anybody could see them, how the hell are they really thinking when they come around me? Is this what they really think about me? Am I really included in this atmosphere here? These are some of the things that some of the minority students do have to worry about, right? There was another football player for Oklahoma University who put a video out. He was mad as shit, and he pretty much spoke to it. You know, like, these guys are talking about how much they love us in our face and everything else, but this is what they think about us. Fuck you, you fake ass phony bitches. And I agree with them wholeheartedly. You know, you don't know what these people are thinking about you behind closed doors when they think nobody's watching. And so when these types of things become public knowledge, when folks are aware of these things now, it's like, hold on, man, we got to really examine what these relationships are here. This is what you really think about me. You know, this is what you really think about me. And so to try to bring this, to try to bring up mixing, to try to bring up hip hop, to try to blame Waka Flocka, all of these things are coming out because these kids did some shit that they had no business doing, and they want to blame it on everything else. Everything else is everybody else's fault except for the kids who did this shit. Right? So when it comes to this, I mean, it's one of those things with privilege. Privileged folks being told that they can't do something and not being able to understand or just understand why they can't do these things, why this is wrong, why this isn't okay. You know, to act as if hip hop was the result of this chant, which goes back a long time, and you can't listen to the melody of that chant to tell me that that came from a hip hop song. And I mean, they even had the video of the fraternity mother saying nigger, 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 nigger repeatedly. They had rap playing in the background. That wasn't. Name me one fucking rap song that just has nigger, 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 nigger repeatedly in that way. That's pretty much. She sat there that whole time doing that video, just said nigger, 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 nigger repeatedly. So this isn't something that is brand new to this fraternity. It isn't brand new to anybody. It goes back, man. It goes back. And it's one of those things where we have to understand that these kids grow up to be congressmen, senators, presidents of companies, executives, and they have the ability to limit opportunities in other places. This isn't limited to just this damn fraternity. They can limit opportunities in other places. And this is just one fraternity that we know about, right? This is just the one that got caught. We haven't even seen, you know, the opportunities or not the opportunities, but the proclivities of some of the other organizations and how they think and how they really feel about us. I mean, and we could talk about police state. I heard a lot of folks talking about a police state where you have to worry about whether or not folks are videotaping you all the time now. They thought that should have been a private moment. Okay, maybe it should have been, but I'm glad that it wasn't. I'm glad that it wasn't. I'm glad that some of these sheets, quote unquote, are being pulled off and we're figuring out who's who. We're figuring out who's who. I would respect a bigot much more when they're bigoted right in my face. I could respect it a whole hell of a lot more than smiling in my fucking face and then talking shit about me behind my back. I could respect that a whole hell of a lot more. So yeah, man, like this whole entity of racism and new ageness and post-racialism and stuff. Yeah, we got a black president. Yay, we got a black president. Uh-huh. And in the meantime, we've had Jordan Davis be shot, Tamir Rice be shot, Mike Brown be shot, Trayvon Martin killed. Like, we've had all of these things happen under the guise of post-racial or being in a post-racial America, right? We've got a Congress who will send a letter to another nation as their negotiations with our president for the nuclear program. Some real fucked up shit. Right? So again, we have to be aware. We have to understand that when it comes to this thing we call racism, the shit, I don't see it going anywhere. I just don't. But I would to take responsibility for the racism in which they're being a part of. I would really that's pretty much all I ask for people now. Just take responsibility for your shit. Don't try to put it off on anybody else. Don't try to act as if it's anybody else's fault. Waka Flocka didn't make you sing that damn chant. DMX didn't make you sing that chant. Nothing you heard from Ludacris or Gucci Mane made you sing that chant. This is something that has been going on for a long time. It's a systemic issue, and it's ingrained in the society and in the societal fabric of America, right? It's pretty much ingrained in this societal melt. We're not exactly where we proclaim that we are as far as a nation is concerned. We're not there socially to where we can actually and not have in the back of this thing of, is this motherfucker really talking about me behind my back? Is this person really genuine with me when I'm not here? There's always that thing in the back of our minds that's like, we cool while we at work. And I know a lot of people like, yeah, we cool while we at work, but this motherfucker probably be dogging me out as soon as I turn my back. And that's not even just racially. I mean, that could be anybody, right? But in an instance like this, where you have blatant racism, where they're talking about hanging niggas from trees and shit, he can't be in my fraternity. I was like, dude, come on, man. Black folks' fault. Why is it that every time that somebody does some shit against black folks, it's our fault? Black person, well, he should have put his hands up. His hands up by the police. Well, he shouldn't have charged him. Black kid had a toy gun, shot down within 2 seconds. And we had a fraternity talking about or singing about hanging niggas from trees in 2015. So, yeah, man, it's fucked up and it's frustrating, but at the same time, I'm not surprised, and it's a goddamn shame that in 2015, I'm not surprised by this shit anymore, right? But yeah, that's it, man. That's all I got for you here on episode 66 of the Spann Report. But before I get out of here, man, I gotta let you guys know again how to get in touch with me here, let your voice be heard. You can hit the hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. I will play those on the show, and I will reply to those on the show as well. And before I get out of here, goddamn, I forgot I had an email. So, but hold on, let me read this email. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh shit. Okay. All right. Here it is. Here we go. All right. I got an email from somebody named Ronnie G, and Ronnie G writes in to say, "What's up, Mr. Spann? I'm a longtime listener, and this is my first time sending feedback. I gotta say, I really do enjoy the debates you have with Mr. Gates. I get something I've never thought about or considered every time you guys get together, and I hope that the art of disagreement will become a staple on the show. Yeah, we're thinking, we're definitely trying to bring that once a month at least. We're trying to. We got to figure out some shit we got to argue about, but yeah, we want to bring that shit on at least once a month. Going on, he says, with all that being said, I'd like to take you to task a bit on your support of this homosexual agenda being perpetuated in the media. Okay. I think it's unfair that black people are being singled out as being the only ones that don't like it. I also think it's reprehensible that it's shown so much on TV now. What happens in the bedroom should stay in the bedroom. No one else needs to know how you like it in the bed, but you and the person you're with. Okay, here's the thing. You talked about black people being singled out. I don't necessarily think black people are being singled out. I think people in general are being I think people in general are having to deal with this. And there's one show on TV right now that has a homosexual character that everybody's up in arms about, right? And that's the Jesse Smollett character. I think I keep forgetting his fucking name every time I want to talk about it on the show. But be that as it may, you know, my family had gay characters on it, right? That's a show primarily watched by white folks. That's quite a while. And Grey's Anatomy, another Shondaland show, has gay characters on that show, and they're not black people. You know what I'm saying? And I talked about even on The Wire, how Omar on The Wire was a gay character, but for whatever reason, folks don't necessarily remember. It seems like with Omar, like we give Omar a pass because Omar was killing motherfuckers on the Wire, right? So this whole thing of black people being singled out for their homophobia is like I think it's more so you being sensitive about it because people are actually addressing black people to a certain degree, right? If you didn't have an issue with black, here's the thing that's funny. If you didn't have an issue, would you really be writing me about this right now? Would you even have taken the time to write a letter or an email to say that you don't like the fact that they're talking to black people about homosexuality, right? And then you talk later about no one needs to know what you do in the bedroom. I think it's kind of fucked up that you just limited their relationship to how they get down in the bedroom. When I think for a lot of folks, it encompasses so much more than that for them, right? They just want their relationships to be recognized in the same way that your relationships will be recognized, and not to have to hide who they are and everything else. So I think it's kind of fucked up that you would just limit it to, what it is that they do in the bedroom. Excuse me. And as a matter of fact, like honestly, that part really isn't any of your business. I don't think a lot of them even really want you to know what it is that they do in the bedroom. To be quite honest with you. Also, he goes on to say that there's a video that has Dr. Umar Johnson addressing this very issue that you should check out, where he breaks down this homosexuality stuff was recognized as a mental disorder by psychiatrists and philosophers alike. You should check it out. Anyway, I've gone on long enough. Just wanted to give my 2 cents. Love the show. Hope this makes a podcast. Okay. I'm aware of Dr. Umar Johnson. I've listened to some of his speeches. I'm aware that Umar Johnson is featured in a few of those Hidden Colors movies. Here's the thing. I also think it's kind of fucked up for folks to attribute homosexuality with being some sort of mental disorder, right? Because when you do that, you allow yourself to put yourself in a position to where you think you're better than these people. And if you say that these people are suffering from some sort of mental disability, or they're mentally incapacitated in some sort of way, then whatever it is that they're feeling, whatever it is that they think, you have now basically dismissed whatever it is. Like, you don't necessarily have to take what it is that they say seriously because you feel as if they're mentally incapacitated, or they aren't mentally capable of making those kind of decisions for themselves, right? And so in listening to Dr. Umar Johnson, and anybody who like kind of fucks with Umar Johnson in that way, it's like, yeah, man, it's an easy way to just dismiss somebody and not take them seriously, right? There's a whole lot of things that have been dismissed or introduced as a disease. I mean, hell, black folks were thought to be less mentally capable at one point in time. Do you believe that? Do you believe that if you are black? I don't know. That's another. I'm sorry if I'm assuming, but do you believe that black people are mentally incapacitated, that they can't learn in the same way that white people do? You would think they would, if you were a black person, you would think that was a ridiculous notion. And so that theory in and of itself should be rejected as a ridiculous notion. So this whole thing of, whether or not black people have issues with gay people, yeah, black people do have issues with gay people. White people have issues with gay people. The thing is, like, even for us black folks, is we sometimes think that when anybody speaks on behalf of, gay folks, that they're somehow selling out black people as if there aren't gay people who are black. The shit ain't mutually exclusive, fam. It's gay people in your community right now, if you're black, that are also gay. And they are also dealing with those issues. And you should treat those people with the same respect that you would like for motherfuckers to treat you with. It's not rocket science, man. It really isn't. And I don't know. I really don't know why folks are having such a hard time with that. I take that back. I do. Because at one point in time, I thought just like you. I did. So I take that back. But I do appreciate the fact that you enjoy the show, Ronnie. And I do hope that you write back in and let your voice be heard here on the Spann Report, brother. Real talk. But before I did that, I was getting ready to sign out. So again, check me out at thespannreport.com. Let your voice be heard at thespannreport.com. Check out all the podcast episodes, all of my guest appearances. I was on 20 Minutes with Rashani this week, and I was also on Where's My 40 Acres. I will have those episodes available at thespannreport.com, so go check that out. It's your boy. I'm on Instagram. My name on both. Get back to you.